Steam is a platform with a lot of really good horror games for you to play. Phasmophobia, Alien Isolation, Lethal Company, and Overwatch 2 are all games that do an incredible job at scaring the player. However, there's just one problem with these games. With the exception of Overwatch 2, they all cost money. I mean, I'm trying to save up for Planet Coaster 2, so I can't exactly spend any money on horror games. Besides, these games are way too expensive. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 costs $8. Do you know what I can buy with $8? Five Nights at Freddy's 2. That being said, I am in the middle of my Halloween celebration right now, so I've gotta play some horror games. I can't talk about Geometry Dash in the middle of October. The only thing scary about that game is the daily chat, which I think is a bit too scary for this channel. Thankfully, Steam is home to some horror games that are free and perfect for someone like me with a budget of $0. So, in this video, I'm gonna take a look at 3 free Steam horror games to see if I'd recommend them to you, the viewer, starting with...
Hey, what are you hiding? What you doing when you go?
I've never really cared for the Bendy franchise that much. From what I've heard, the games are actually pretty good, but I've just never really bothered to play them. Because of that, I don't really know much about these games, so I thought that in order to find out what this franchise is all about, I should play the free entry, Bendy Secrets of the Machine. Wait, when I started the game, I was greeted by a house with Bendy's face on it in the distance. I walked over and entered it, only to see some guy at the end of the hallway, standing there menacingly. Once I walked over to the guy, he faded away. This game has a lot of moments like this, where things randomly appear and disappear when you turn your back, and I find that really cool. It's genuinely pretty unsettling sometimes, and the first time this happened to me, I was terrified. You can't tell by my mouse movements, but when I saw this guy, I was acting like Corey the Extension when Golden Freddy hopped into the taxi in the FNAF movie. After walking through a tunnel, I entered a room that had 2 doors and a machine that looked like the best Garten of Banban character, Sheriff Toadster.
I don't need no partners. I'll find Little Beak, and together, we'll rid the world of monsters like you.
Once I interacted with the machine, I got a can of bacon soup. This being a real thing is scarier than anything this game could throw at me. I opened a door at the end of the room and found a TV with little icons of the iconic main 4 Bendy characters, those being Bendy, Alessandro, Boris, and whoever this guy is. I left the room and got more soup and proceeded to throw at his chute to see if anything would happen. After throwing through the cams, a wall opened up revealing a Bendy cardboard cutout, a door, and some guy that looked like Popeye the Sailor. Going through the door brings you to a movie theater, though the screen isn't actually showing anything. I decided to throw some soup at the screen in hopes of forcing it to play my favorite movies, but instead it plays this garbage. Then I realized that these windows had the same orange glow as the movie theater screen, so I threw some cans at them and entered the door. Once I did that, I got transported to this small little room with a family portrait at the very front. I spent some time running around the room and spamming E, trying to find out what I was supposed to do. Turns out I was supposed to grab this pencil taped to the family photo. I'm not sure how I missed it. I was literally staring right at it at one point. I continued running around trying to interact with things until I began hearing Lightning McQueen noises and got jump scared by a car crash noise. I went through a door that just opened, and as if this game wasn't scary enough, entered a middle school hallway. At the end of the hallway is a school psychologist's office, who said that this person named Riley has been making freaky drawings that are scaring the other kids. After walking around the hallway trying to escape, I went back to the room with the family portrait and found a letter saying that Joey Drew Studios wants to hire me. I sure am excited for my long and prosperous time at the company. Never mind, I immediately got fired. Then I went back to the start of the game, but this time the house's door was boarded up. I found an arrow telling me to go away from the house, and after walking for a while, I somehow ended up going back to the house, which was no longer boarded up. I entered the house, but then... So after getting run over, I once again got sent back to the start of the game. This time, however, I managed to get back to the room with Sheriff Toadster. I'm gonna be honest, I had no idea what I was supposed to do at this point, so I had to look up a guide. After watching the guide, I went back over to the room with the TV screen and threw bacon soup by the character icons. This turned on the TV screen and teased this weird game called Befriendy. So that was Bendy's Secrets of the Machine. I did not find out what the machine's secrets were, nor did I see the machine in the first place, so not exactly sure what the game's called that. To be honest, I have no idea what happened here, which is probably what I get for not playing the first 2 Bendy games. From what I can gather, you play as somebody called Riley, whose parents died in a car crash, get hired at Joey Drew Studios, get fired, get jumped by a car, and get a teaser for the next Bendy game. I'm not sure how the last thing fits into the lore, or what the lore even is, but okay. In terms of gameplay, the game is pretty much just a 20-minute walking simulator that lets you throw soup at Alice Angel and weird old men, but I don't really mind lackluster gameplay because again, the game is really short. The lack of gameplay is also made up for by the game's atmosphere. Not knowing if anything will mysteriously show up whenever you turn your back is pretty scary, and I really like the orange and black color palette. I'm genuinely impressed by how scary this game managed to be without resorting to a chase scene or spooky jump scare. I was on edge nearly the entire time and nothing was even after me. Secrets of the Machine isn't anything special, it's literally just a short teaser for the next real Bendy game, but I still had a fun time with it and it did a pretty good job at scaring me.
He goes for a hug, my phone, I plug it low and charge his pincers, March!
PoppyPlaytime is probably one of the biggest mascot horror franchises of them all. It's by no means on the same level as FNAF, but it's still pretty high up there, especially in terms of brain rot.
I am catnap, come to destroy you. I am catnap, destroyer of all.
I was originally going to talk about PoppyPlaytime for my very first free Steam games video, but I got too scared, stopped playing, and decided to talk about something that's more on my level. Garten of Banban. I've been scared of Poppy Playtime ever since it came out. Something about it just makes me uncomfortable. With the exception of Mommy Longlegs, the main monsters in this franchise freak me out, and it doesn't help that there's not really any comedy to lighten the mood here like in FNAF. However, I decided that it's time to not be a coward and finally played Poppy Playtime Chapter 1. And after playing it, I have no idea why I found it scary, because it's really not. The game starts off with some guy getting way too close to the camera telling us about the brand new Poppy Playtime doll who is really cool and awesome. Also, I don't know why, but this fan has the most purple lighting I've ever seen in my life. Seriously, why does it look like this? After this is over, we enter the Playtime Co. building in order to find the employees that mysteriously went missing one day, yet are supposedly still here. Once I entered a locked room in the building, I got my hands on the grab pack, which is the game's main gimmick. With the grab pack, you can extend your hand to grab small objects, pull things, conduct electricity, or unlock doors. I actually think the grab pack is really cool. Something about it just makes it really fun to use, and I like the little jiggle it does when it returns to you. After using the grab pack to power up this door, it slowly opened up to reveal none other than Huggy Wuggy himself. Huggy is the chapter's main antagonist, and while he can't kill you until the very end, he will be stalking you throughout your playthrough, which can be pretty scary. Also, Huggy himself is just pretty scary in my opinion. I gave Huggy the customary high five and did a puzzle where I had to bring electricity from point A to point B with the grab pack. These puzzles are the main gameplay aspects of Poppy Playtime, and honestly, they're not that good. You just use your grab pack to get electricity, go around these poles, and take electricity to where it needs to go. With the exception of the one at the end of the game, these puzzles are super easy. Calling them puzzles is a bit of a stretch, honestly. Once I finished the puzzle, I went back to the room that Huggy was in and noticed something really crazy. The blocks here actually spell Huggy Wuggy. That's pretty cool. I went through the door that I just powered up and saw Huggy's arm at the end of the hallway. This is where I stopped playing when I first tried this game. After I walked through the hallway, I came into a room where I had to find these power cubes in order to get a red hand for the grab pack. Also, Huggy Wuggy's here again and he's watching you through a vent like a weirdo. After getting the red hand and doing another electricity puzzle, I came into a room where I had to do yet another electricity puzzle to turn on this machine. This is the actually hard puzzle I mentioned earlier. This moving platform was introduced that raises the difficulty by a lot. It took me 7 minutes to beat this as opposed to the other ones, which took me like 10 seconds. Now that the power was back on, I used the machine to make this Cappy toy and I put it on a scanner thing that opens the door. Also, the machine that makes the toy has eyes that follow you, which I thought was a pretty cool detail. Anyways, I went through the door that just opened and suddenly I really like Huggy's entrance here. If I hadn't put a million Ducko screaming clips in my videos before and didn't know he was coming, this would have terrified me. In order to escape Huggy, you have to go through the nearby vents. This vent chase is probably one of the most iconic parts of not just Chapter 1, but Poppy Playtime as a whole. I think it's fine. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad chase. I like how there's parts where you're forced to look at Huggy. He's animated incredibly well, and the vents being somewhat of a maze is cool, but I don't know, the chase just feels a bit too slow, to the point that there were times where I actually thought I was walking. I think this chase could have felt a bit more intense if the running speed was just increased by a tiny amount. Anyways, when I got out of the vent, I pulled on a crate with a grab pack and it proceeded to fall down and knock Huggy off the catwalk. That probably hurt. Then I walked over to the door with a painting of a flower around it, ignored all of the very subtle warning signs, and entered the room. Here, I found Poppy Playtime herself. I opened the case she was in, and then the game ended. So that was Poppy Playtime, and it was okay. I still think the Huggy Wuggy is pretty scary, but the game itself didn't really do it for me in terms of horror. The parts you can see Huggy stalking you are pretty creepy, but the rest of the game, not really, especially compared to the later chapters. I think the game looks really good, and again, Huggy's vent animation is great, but the gameplay itself just isn't that good. The puzzles are all incredibly easy with the exception of the last one, and even then there's only 3 puzzles in the game. I mean, the grab pack is fun, but it's not really used that much. I wouldn't really mind a lack of gameplay since this is just a free chapter meant to give people a taste of what Poppy Playtime has to offer, but on the other hand, I lied, this isn't free. Okay, it is now, but when it first came out, the game cost $5. Yes, this 20-minute game originally cost $5. I wouldn't really mind if these were a great 20 minutes, but they're really not. The game is pretty much just 3 puzzles, a fetch quest, and a chase scene. That's it. Asking $5 for what is essentially a demo is actually baffling. They should have been free from the start. Also, for some reason, games still cost money on mobile and consoles. Why? FNAF games do this too for some reason. Pizza Race Simulator and Ultimate Custom Night, which are free on Steam, cost money on mobile and console. And I mean, sure, that sucks, but at least these games have actual gameplay, especially Ultimate Custom Night. Poppy Playtime just didn't really have much to offer. Now that I brought up Ultimate Custom Night, I think I should talk about it. The final game I'm going to talk about here is Ultimate Custom Night, the last Five Nights at Freddy's game before Steelwood Studios came in and decided to take Helpy Abuse to the next level. Ultimate Custom Night is exactly what it sounds like. It's the custom night of the previous games, but Ultimate. And the game certainly lives up to the name because nearly everybody is here. It's like Super Smash Bros, but with Freddy Fazbear and without Waluigi. Oh wait. Unfortunately, not every animatronic is here. Some are missing, most notably Withered Freddy, Withered Foxy, Funtime Freddy, and Golden Markiplier. I find Funtime Freddy's exclusion a little bit weird because Funtime Chica, a literal prop from Pizzeria Simulator, got in, but somehow one of the two main Funtimes couldn't. Anyways, before I talk about the actual game, I want to really talk about the game's story because it doesn't really have one. Much like Sister Location, this Five Nights at Freddy's game does not really take place in a Freddy Fazbear location. You see, in Ultimate Custom Night, you play as FNAF's main antagonist, William Afton the Purple Guy, as he's being tortured in the afterlife by the Vengeful Spirit because of all the murder he did when he was alive. And yeah, that's all the story the game has to offer, at least on a surface level. I think this is a cool way to make this game canon and to let us know that William Afton does not always come back, because he's dead now. Once you open the game, you're greeted by a menu that has 50 animatronics, options to change your office's scenery, select power-ups, select challenges, and see your high score in 50-20 best time. Speaking of 50-20, it's easily one of, if not the hardest challenge the franchise has to offer, and it was first beaten by none other than Lewis Dawkins. Anyways, here's my 50-20 run. When you first get into a game, you get a menu full of the game's controls. There's a lot of them. In the office, you have a fan, 2 doors, and 2 vents. You also have the option to use the Freddy mask or cameras. Opening the cameras will reveal what else but the cameras, and also the option to switch to the vents and ducts, as well as the option to activate the power generator, silent ventilation, heater, power AC, and global music box. I only used the power generator, heater, and global music box in the time I played, so those are the ones I'm going to be talking about. The power generator was easily one of the most helpful things during my playthrough. Here's me without the generator, and here's me with it. It saves power, but using it makes a lot of noise, and will bring in animatronics that want you to shut up. I only really use the heater to get rid of Rockstar Freddy when he activated instead of giving him fast coins, because much like any good corporation, I will do literally anything before I give somebody my money. The heater obviously heats up your office, which can make some animatronics more active. One of these animatronics is Lefty, and whenever I thought he was coming for me, I used the global music box, which just calms animatronics down. During the night, there's a chance that you will be visited by 2 animatronics, those being Rockstar Foxy and the worst character in all of fiction, Dee Dee. If a parrot enters your office and you click on it, you'll summon Rockstar Foxy. Now, Rockstar Foxy will either jump scare you, let you get more power, set your office back to 60 degrees, make you soundproof, or give you 10 fast coins. Dee Dee, on the other hand, will show up, sing a stupid song, and then bring in a random animatronic into the night. Oh, and she didn't tell you what animatronic she summoned, so good luck finding out. Since picking between 50 different animatronics can be quite overwhelming, Ultimate Custom Night has 8 different challenge categories for you to choose from, which I think is a really nice addition. It's a good way to give this game a sense of progression. I wish there was an option to randomize the selection of animatronics for the night, but I still appreciate the inclusion of these challenges. Speaking of which, the first challenge is Bear's Attack. As the name implies, it activates all the Freddy Fazbears in the game. Also Ned Bear's here too, I guess. The second challenge is Pay Attention, which has animatronics that require you to, well, pay attention. This is the easiest challenge category in my opinion because it's only 5 hostile animatronics and they're incredibly easy to get rid of. The only annoying characters are Funtime Fox and Ember Balloon Boy, since you need to pull up the cams the second it's time for Funtime Fox's showtime, and if you accidentally shine your flashlight on Nightmare BB when he's sitting down, you'll get jump scared. Then there's Ladies Night, which houses all the lady animatronics in a franchise, like Chica, and the other Chica, and the other Chica, and the other Chica. I ran out of power at 3 AM here, but I somehow managed to survive until 5 AM before Toy Chica jumped me like the bully she is. I am now the #1 Toy Chica hater. Next is Creepy Crawlies, which has a bunch of vent people, and also the FNAF 2 creeps. I'd ask why these guys are here since they deviate from the vent theme, but honestly probably would have been pretty boring to only focus on events for a night. I completely forgot what Music Man does, which is come to you when you make too much noise, so I had the power generator on the whole night, and I was really confused when I heard Music Man. He killed me. Then there's Nightmare's Attack, which has all the Nightmare and Nightmare adjacent animatronics. Also, Music Man is here too for some reason. Guess he killed me. After this is Springtrap, which despite the name does not just contain Springtrap and the Phantoms, but also JJ, Nightmare Yon, Lefty, Trash in the Gang, and Rockstar Foxy. I'm not sure why they're here, but okay. This one's pretty easy. I only died because I completely forgot how to deal with Scraptrap. Old Friends is next, which has some of the franchise's original characters set at the maximum AI value. Also, Circus Baby is here too. I'm not sure why. It probably would have been a better idea to have Withered Bonnie and Chica here. Finally is Chaos, which has a lot of different animatronics active. I lasted 16 seconds before I got jumped by Blora. Yeah, I suck at this game. It's probably at 2.7 hours of playtime. I've only managed to beat 2 challenges, and they're the 2 easiest ones. I consider myself to be pretty good at FNAF, not to brag or anything, but I've beaten every game except 4, 6, and Help Wanted, and I have every achievement in Security Breach and Help Wanted too. I don't go out much. I found challenges in Ultimate Custom Night really hard though. There's a lot of animatronics to keep track of, and they all have unique mechanics. I don't mind the difficulty though. I'm not about to criticize the game because I have a skill issue. My only real complaint with the challenges is that the selection of animatronics is a bit weird. Like seriously, why are Trash in the Gang part of Springtrap? Is Scott Cawthon creator Freddy Fazbear himself trying to tell us that Trash in the Gang are actually William Afton? Speaking of these guys, this game focuses a lot on comedy, especially compared to the other 2 games here, and I think that this was a smart decision. This game is not scary. The only time any jump scare got me was when I came from animatronics animatronics I completely forgot about. Due to the sheer amount of animatronics, I think that trying to scare the player in the midst of all the chaos would have been incredibly hard, so I'm glad that Scott decided to just not take this game very seriously. Toy Freddy's the gamer, and L-Chip is just here to advertise his company. Mr. Hippo tells you a long story about birds when he kills you, and Helpy just jump scares you with an air horn. Also, for some reason, the jump scares in the game freeze for a split second before you get to the game over screen, and it looks really weird. I don't know why it's like this. Ultimate Custom Night is, in my opinion, the best FNAF game that uses a classic style. It's fun, replayable, and also pretty funny. For a lot of people, this is where the franchise ends, which makes sense. It's a nice conclusion of the story, with the spirits possessing the animatronics finally being set free and finding peace, and a main villain having to suffer with a gamer for the rest of eternity. While I get why people consider this the end, in my opinion, the franchise just gets better than ever after this. Is the story a mess? Very. But the games are honestly more fun than ever, especially the Help Wanted ones. In conclusion, I once again spent way too long talking about FNAF. The only game here I found actually scary was Secrets of the Machine. The others had their moments, but Bendy's more subtle horror did a better job of scaring me. I had fun playing all these games though. Even though the first two didn't have much gameplay, I wasn't really bored while playing them. I was originally going to talk about Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion in this video, but that game was apparently like 3 hours long, and this video will probably be way too long if I talked about a 3-hour game, so maybe next time. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go get good at Ultimate Custom Night. Bye, I guess.